In October of 2023, Ryan Pereno from GameRanks wrote an article that he titled, Marvel Spider-Man 2 is the buggiest 2023 game with Metacritic's Universal Acclaim. What's crazy is this has now been deleted from the GameRanks' website, and you actually have to go to the Internet Wayback Machine to be able to see this article. Why did he delete it? Was it because of lack of journalistic integrity? Did he say something that was a lie or something that was wrong? We're going to go ahead and find out on today's episode of the Xbox Tax. Ladies and gentlemen, in talking about the media bias towards Xbox and the soft coddling of PlayStation, that even sometimes when the Matrix breaks its code and shifts into telling some truth, those kinds of things usually can lead to being blacklisted, which we've heard. I'm not saying it's in the case of Ryan Pereno from GameRanks. And in some cases, there's just a negative perception where if you ever criticize what PlayStation does, you seem to be the enemy. I've been talking about this stuff for the last few days, and I've had some folk, that are PlayStation loyals tell me that I'm a liar. Some tell me that I'm actually making a mountain out of a molehill. Some even tell me that I'm actually engaging in conspiracy theories. So what I decided to do in response to this was I went ahead and I created a playlist that I'm calling the Xbox Tax Series. This playlist now has about 4 or 5 videos. There's even another video that's, in the works coming as I'm recording this video, and we will gather the evidence so that we can ensure that no one is confused as to this media bias. I've also heard some people try to actually categorize this as, well, Xbox is getting criticized unfairly because of the last 10 years of their performance in the console industry. They haven't released a banger since then. Y'all need to stop with that very weak red herring because it's absolute nonsense, and it is. You think it's going to throw me off the scent of this particular issue. No, it will not, because I don't care about the last 10 years of Xbox's performance, because I've told y'all before, in those 10 years, I was enjoying PlayStation games like PlayStation gamers were. Didn't even, play on a PC at that point. Played on my PS4. Bought the PlayStation 4 Uncharted bundle. Enjoyed those bundles. Pre-ordered Uncharted 4. The first game I ever pre-ordered in my entire life. Full price. Walked into GameStop, said, give me one of those before it comes out, guys. So those 10 years, I have no idea what they are. However, what we're seeing now, this media bias is absolutely insane. We're going to go back to that article from GameRanks. We're going to go back to some of the pertinent aspects surrounding it. And I think Ryan Pereno was on, in my opinion, something very interesting. He said we need to talk about how these bugs did not come up in review copies and why that matters. A few days after release, it has emerged that Marvel Spider-Man 2 has some serious bugs and issues. The official Reddit for the Games Bugs lists these as major issues. This is Marvel Spider-Man itself at the time listing its own major issues. So it's not Ryan Pereno saying that they're major issues. There was a game bug that did not allow people to install the game. People could not install into their SSD. People could not select performance modes or fidelity modes. And then there were cases of crashing and overheating. People weighed in. ACG weighed in. Dark One X, John Lineman of Digital Foundry weighed in. And apparently, even during the review period, they said that they did not see any of these bugs that had now been introduced after they patched the game for the public. And some of those kinds of bugs include asset loading hiccups. Like, remember Cube Man? Y'all remember Cube Man? When the internet was celebrating the Cube? The bug in Spider-Man 2? Remember that? It was cute. All kinds of interesting things were going on. Ryan Pereno's challenge said this: while it does seem that these issues did not affect most players' experience of the game, there needs to be a conversation about these issues. And no, this isn't about console wars. Marvel Spider-Man 2 received a 91 Metacritic score from 150 critic reviews. That gives it the distinction of receiving universal acclaim from said reviewers. However, these review scores are not based on the version of the game that some players received, and that's a problem. Remember, this article existeth no longer. However, and remember, Metacritic is more than some award or medal that the industry gets to brag about. Game developers can lose their jobs or see their bonuses and pay cut if their project does not get the Metacritic their employer is aiming for. You see, I told y'all when y'all were basically defending this corruption in the media for gaming that this thing is not funny. It affects real people. Because of your 10-year grudge against Xbox, you don't care. You think it's funny. You really do. And I think this is the most terrible part of this. And you know, at some point in life, you start to kind of see things as this is more than just me. You know, babies only think about themselves. Adults eventually start thinking about other human beings that can get affected by this stuff. I don't want to preach to you about some morality or whatnot, just letting you know that this is no joke no more. So your feelings about Xbox and all this stuff, express them, but be very careful when you try to defend something that you know deep down is not good. Because at the end of the day, you're going to defend the thing that eventually bites you. Man, it's like that African proverb they used to tell us when I was a kid. You know, this hunter was coming home one day and saw a baby leopard. Oh, it's so cute. Then he takes the baby leopard in. Baby leopard grows up and it plays with his children, loves his children, right? Loves the children of this hunter and doesn't remember, you know, it basically is being fed and cared for them. And one day it was playing with one of the kids, accidentally bites the kid, tastes blood, remembers who he is. Oh my goodness. Let me just keep reading. Let's not go too deep. Don't worry. I'm going to bring it back to the West. I was already kind of floating back to my continent. This is not a fair system at all. But if we're to follow the rules arbitrarily set by industry, we have to at least try to make them as fair as possible. And it will not be fair that Marvel Spider-Man 2 receives a citation for Universal Acclaim when it clearly was not that experience for everyone. It wouldn't be fair to other developers who saw their games receive lower meta scores and were penalized for it in real material terms. It also isn't fair to those gamers who literally cannot install or play the game. The fact that the game the players got is not what reviewers received is a red flag that the reviews aren't accurate or helpful to the gamers as consumers. When he put this article up, Icon Era, they were already here dragging him. Then you go to the tweet. They were also already here dragging him on Twitter. This was last year. They were dragging GameRank, saying that they were fake news. When in reality, ladies and gentlemen, there were bugs in this game. You can go online, different sources, and see the different bugs. Whether or not you experienced a bug is not what is being argued here. Whether or not there were bugs in the game is a reality and a fact. You know what's crazy? I experienced only one bug. I didn't even know it was a bug. I remember this thing got me in trouble. The community was like, it's a bug. What the heck are you talking about? Get the heck out of here. It's a bug. You're an idiot. I was like, oh, I didn't know it was a bug. I just thought it was a kill Z. A kill Z is basically a thing that developers program. After you fall to a certain distance, you die. I didn't know this was a bug that I actually experienced. So my brain was basically trying to play games on me, and the community dragged some sense back into me and said, shut the heck up. You're experiencing a bug. This is not a feature. And so again, the soft coddling of PlayStation in basically coming to the point where a buggy game gets universal acclaim to me, and somebody tells me that Starfield being buggy was a problem. And don't tell me that Starfield was a boring game. If you're on the PlayStation side, you didn't play it. Shut up. If you didn't play it anyways. I mean, some of you didn't. You said you hated it. You said, it's boring. It might come to PlayStation. Let me see how boring it is, because I know real Bethesda fans are not going to care about what you're saying. They're going to buy the game. I already kind of can sense it. You can sense it. Bethesda fans are kind of like that, right? And even the so-called Bethesda fans right now that were mad at it, some of them are coming back. In fact, I saw an article the other day from IGN saying, oh, the modders have now replaced the broken vehicles. Did they not say the modders left? It was one modder left. That's another Xbox tax video I'm going to bring to you guys soon. One modder left Starfield. The whole articles were like, oh, the modders are leaving. Okay, don't worry. It was one guy from a Discord. But now so-called modders have somehow, automatically reappeared out of nowhere. Man, you're in for a whole world of receipts. You have no idea what this is. It's okay. He says this. It wouldn't be fair to other developers who saw their games receive lower meta scores. And he said this. We understand that games can be great in spite of bugs. that bugs can be fixed in time, that game development is unpredictable. But if we talk about a system which determines who gets paid and who has to leave the industry, it should not be set up to favor some studios over others, which obviously this favored one studio over others for arbitrary reasons. For this reason, we have to call out that Marvel Spider-Man 2 is the buggiest game to receive Metacritic's Universal Acclaim moniker, with many 10 out of 10 scores. Those scores were based on a different game than what consumers got, and we have to question if that's really acceptable. Hey, what more do I have to say, man? You telling me that there's no Xbox tax, that there's not a clear media bias against PlayStation and a soft calling of, against Xbox, sorry, and a soft calling of PlayStation? Some of you had the audacity to say, you said that. Like you looked at everything with a straight face and you said that. And then you tried to come with this 10 years ago thing. Do you know what's happened in 10 years? Children that were born 10 years ago are 10. They know right and wrong. Their parents are already planning for the day that they're going to get a job. I mean, I'm just saying, everyone's like, man, you need to go get a job, boy. Very soon, in a few years. That's 10 years ago, man. We're gonna sit there and we're gonna start lamenting over Xbox's poor performance 10 years ago. So that therefore, if Xbox basically gives you, a $70 game for a small subscription fee and gives you $9,000 worth of games, whether or not you play them is your business, whether or not you want them is your business, for $240, they're still terrible and must be mocked. So PlayStation, because they've been bringing out what you call bangers, is okay and immune from such criticism. That's what's called bias. If you didn't know what the definition of bias was, you defined it for me. And man, I cannot tell you guys how interesting a lot of these conversations have been. The comments have just been straight up asinine. Like, you can't believe the things folk are saying. Some of them want to take personal shots, but they miss. They say, oh, you're an Xbot. No, I'm not. I was playing PlayStation games just like you were. I be jamming to PlayStation games. I enjoyed my Ghost of Tsushima, double dipping those games on PC, supporting those studios because those studios are doing good work. Don't get me wrong. I may be mad at Sony for their poor consumer, stance, but I understand that Sucker Punch is a great developer. I don't mix the two up. I can sit here and I can separate that. But it seems like some of our brethren that enjoy the PlayStation platform, you seem to want to go in with blind belief. Be careful when you do that. Be careful when you do that. So let's just talk about this later on. Thanks so much for watching the video. Appreciate you guys' time and audience, and hopefully we'll talk pretty soon in another one. Peace out.